Welcome into the latest edition of ESPN FC. Once again, I'm Dan Thomas, joined by Stevie Nicol, and we welcome, back from his holiday, Ali Moreno is here.
I had a good time.
Good.
Did you have a good time?
I think everybody had a lovely time. Well done, everyone. Alex Kirkland is here. Kay's in Madrid, hasn't called him yet, bit rude.
Okay.
Jan Fjortoft joins us as well as we discuss what is going on in the transfer world. We talked about it yesterday, and we're going to talk about it a lot. You feel the future of Vinícius Jr. very much up in the air. Real Madrid not offering him a contract. He has said no. Vini is back, but for how long? Says the front page of AS. Meanwhile, Marca goes, what's that, Ali? Vini's in the squad?
El Madrid se planta con Vini. That's hard to translate.
Kind of stands firm?
Yes, that is exactly what we're going with.
There we go. Well done, Dan.
Yes.
Excellent. Right. Alex, let's start with you in the Spanish capital. Could we really be in a world where Vini won't be playing for Real Madrid this season?
Yes, certainly people here think that's possible, Dan. They are not ruling that out as an outcome, especially given the standoff we've been experiencing for so long. As you say, we may get some movement finally, belatedly this week. We've been told that a meeting is set for tomorrow between Vini's agents and the club. And we've also been told that in the last couple of weeks since the World Cup, the club have reached out to Vini and slightly upped their contract offer. However, there's still a big gap between that offer and what Vini's demands have been. And so far, we haven't had any sign of that gap being bridged. People here at Real Madrid, senior people at Real Madrid, are now, if not in favour, certainly open to the possibility of Vini leaving this summer. They don't want him to go into the last year of his contract and risk leaving on a free. And people here also believe that Arsenal, the big name that's been mentioned the most often as a possible destination, are the most realistic destination. We know they are genuinely interested. We know that they have looked at the viability of this. We know that although Vini's camp have denied any contact with Arsenal, other sources say there has been direct contact with Vini's camp and with the player. So certainly people here don't say that this is all theatre. They say this is a genuine possibility that right now we cannot say for sure that he will be here in Madrid at the start of the season.
What's the big sticking point? Is it comparisons to Mbappe's contract, for example, Alex?
Yeah, I think that has been the root of a lot of it, because Mbappé came in at that point. Remember, Vini was the established star. He's the guy that has, scored goals in 2 Champions League finals for Real Madrid. Mbappé arrives, earns more than Vini, in a big part because of the huge signing on bonus he agreed when he arrived on a free transfer. And Vini, understandably, would like to be on the same sort of pay scale as Mbappé. The problem is Real Madrid have never paid a signing on bonus. It's one thing, like I say, a big payment when you're coming in, but to renew your contract, which would have never paid a big kind of bonus, a renewal bonus, if you will. And so that's been a point of contention. The other big thing is the image rights. All Real Madrid players, almost every player, it's a 50-50 split between the player and the club in terms of image rights. Mbappé, one of the very few players, just a couple of players ever, who've had a variation on that deal. Mbappé, I think, gets 80% of his image rights and the club gets 20%. Again, Vini looked at that when Mbappé came in and thought, well, I fancy a bit of that. Why does he get that kind of special treatment and I don't? So it's not just kind of on the field that we've seen difficulties with those two players kind of working as a unit. It's also had a big impact off the field. So I think that parity with Mbappé, I think, is a big part of this.
He's got a point, hasn't he, Vini?
Well, he does, but if we just go back, 30, 40 years, and you think about how different the game is now as to what it was back then, the fact that players now have access to information like, well, hold on, he's 50-50, he's 80-20, I'm 50-50. I don't know how Jan and Stevie feel about it, but I think we all knew who was making money in the team, but none of us really had access to the information of, well, this guy's got it all, and I don't have enough. Now that this information is readily available, and who makes information readily available, it's also a part of the conversation, because who does this benefit? The fact that you put out this sort of information and then you say, well, this guy's not getting, or I'm not getting what I should be getting, and that guy over there, who, by the way, hasn't been the player that we thought he was going to be for us, and I've been the guy carrying this team, and I'm not making as much as he is, it creates division. It certainly does. And so we ask ourselves, how do these players not get along on the field? Well, part of the reason they don't get along on the field is because off the field, there are concerns. There are concerns in that I should be getting what he has. I earn my place in this team, and I earn a salary that is compatible and comparable to what that guy is getting. And if he's getting 80-20, I should be getting 80-20. And it's the old conversation about when is it too many stars with too much power in the same team. But I think we've reached that point with Real Madrid, in which they haven't been able, and when I say they, I really mean Vini, because I think Mbappé just goes through this and say, well, I just worked out my contract the way I wanted to work out my contract. I got my share the way I wanted my share. So this has nothing to do with me. Real Madrid was willing to pay that to me. My agent worked it out, and I'm in a position in which I accepted it, and we're good. Vini's the one that's saying, well, that's mine. That should be mine. And that is the way that I think Vini has played alongside Mbappé. When Mbappé hasn't been on the field, Vini has been great. When they played together, neither one of them have been great. And so how, if you're Real Madrid, you make a decision that is best for the team? And if indeed you're making a decision that is best for the team, then you start thinking really about the possibility that perhaps it's best to move on from one of them. And you're not going to move on from Mbappé, and so it makes sense to bank on Vini. But from the outside looking in, it is amazing to me that we're actually having this conversation. That we're realistically having this conversation in which you're saying you have two of the best players in the world and that we can figure out both on the field and now off the field.
The mindset of the player today in terms of the money is completely and utterly different from certainly when I played. You know, when I played it was, I don't know what everybody's getting. We know where you are on the totem pole. The money now has gotten so out of control that it's not really about the money anymore. It's about the ego of getting the same as somebody else. That's probably just the straightforward, simplest way to put it. They've got so much money now that it's actually not about the money. It's about the status. It's about, I need to be up at the top of the totem pole now. And so then it really doesn't matter anymore. So now Vinny probably finds himself in a position where every other person almost on the planet would take 350 grand a week, tax-free, and they'd be like, give me the pen. He's not interested anymore. Because somebody else is on maybe 50, 60, 100 more, that's all that matters now. And so that means that his ego is driving what he wants. And he's going to maybe find himself in a position where he's going to end up leaving Real Madrid, even though he maybe doesn't want to, but his ego won't let him. His ego won't let him accept so much more or so much less than Mbappe's getting. And that is just a ridiculous place to be in.
Yeah, and what are your thoughts on this?
Well, my thought is that, yes, with the boys, it's changed a lot. I mean, back in the days when I played in England, we had the players' organization, PFA, told us, you're going there, you're probably going to be there. And he said, OK, I go there. If you say that, you know the wages, and you do that. What I'm thinking of when I've seen the debates the last days, the week, is that this has so big consequences for other clubs. For example, we will talk about Bayern Munich later. If Vini goes, they will probably go after Olise at Bayern Munich. What about Arsenal? Are they just a card that is played now to get him a better contract at Real Madrid? And so there is a lot of things going on. And to Stevie's point, the players, but these players also are now big companies. This is a big company, Real Madrid, who tried to get a deal with a big company called Vini Jr. He have probably 15, 20 people in his entourage just working for him. So we can say that the player don't know what to do. He will probably have so many different people talking in his ear. And also the thing is that when you play with Real Madrid, and I know that from the Haaland process, I know that from Bellingham process, when they felt, when you come to Real Madrid, what do you do after Real Madrid? So Bellingham went there, Erling went to Manchester City, will probably end up in Spain at some stage. But still, you are there, you are at that big club, and to be honest, I mean, money can't buy your love. I mean, you have... No, I'm saying that. They probably said that about the small wages we had back in the days as well. You should just be happy to play in the Premiership. But nowadays, this is not between club and players anymore. This is between big companies and a company called the Vini Jr. Shareholding Company.
I would just say, like, if you're a Real Madrid fan right now, and you're sitting at home and you're listening to these reports and you're thinking that Vini could potentially walk away, that he may be going elsewhere, where are you with this? Are you really on board that Kylian Mbappé is the guy that is going to take us to wherever we need to go? Is he really the guy? Do we trust him? Because when things were going south last season, this guy was not there for you. When things were early on were going in a positive way and it felt like, oh, Xabi Alonso's bringing something different, and he was scoring goals, but then he started disappearing. And when it was sort of money-making time, when it was time to decide what Real Madrid were going to be and what their season was going to be, he was not there. And when I say he wasn't there, he was at a yacht with his girlfriend. So he wasn't there. So when Tchouaméni's punching out Valverde, Mbappé and the leadership wasn't there. And so you're thinking, if you're a Real Madrid fan, you're thinking, man, I feel like Vini is more important for our club than this guy is. But this guy is already bigger than anything else that Real Madrid has in Kylian Mbappé. I think you have to be conflicted if you're a Real Madrid fan in saying if the choice is Mbappé or Vini, that you just allow Vini to walk out the door. That doesn't seem to make a whole lot of sense.
Alex, where are the fans in that debate?
Yeah, I think opinions divided. I think there has been a lot of frustration with Vini over the last 2 seasons, really, where his performance level has dropped. He's been inconsistent. What happens with Xabi Alonso, I mentioned there, is a big part of it as well. He was one of the big players in the dressing room who was against Xabi Alonso, was seen as sort of having contributed to him being forced out. The fans weren't happy about that. Remember, he was booed by the fans at the Bernabeu more than once last season. Other fans, I think, do remember, like I said, but this is the guy that's won us stuff. This is the guy that has scored in 2 Champions League finals. In 22 and 24, and Mbappé hasn't done that. So I think opinion is divided. I think that some people would blame him if he walked away and said he was chasing the money. I think some people would blame the club for not going the extra mile to make sure they hang on to him. So I think there's diverse opinion, really.